Come on, that's too natural to be hair coloring.
Just for Men. Apply and in 5 minutes rinse. Gray is blended away for a totally natural look.
Think it'll work for me?
In 5 minutes.
Just for Men looks too natural to be hair coloring. And now try Just for Men Color Gel for the hard-to-color hair of mustaches and beards. Brush in, rinse out. Just 5 minutes.
Ahead on WeatherScope, today's forecast for weather across the nation. A complete look coming up on WeatherScope right after your local forecast. This is your local forecast. Weather information you can plan on, only on the Weather Channel.
This WeatherScope is sponsored by Pillsbury.
This is WeatherScope.
Good morning. Well, Cheryl, you've been covering the Southeast earlier this morning in case you weren't with us, so you know about all the inclement weather in the Southeast. You know about it going toward the Northeast, and you know about the snow, you know about the freezing rain, the sleet, and the rain. I'm Bob Stokes, by the way, and what a mess it is.
A very active weather pattern, and once again the Southeast has a chance to see more very powerful and even severe thunderstorms today, and across the upper Midwest a chance for more ice and snow. And it was yesterday that Texas had some of that wintry mixture. Freezing rain and sleet fell in Austin yesterday, and the heavy ice buildup on the trees and power lines caused quite a few power outages throughout the city. With the storm's movement to the northeast, warmer temperatures and sunny skies, though, are expected today. Meanwhile, Georgia began getting some heavy rain and hail yesterday. This is shots now from LaGrange, Georgia, where there was some pea-sized hail covering the ground yesterday. The storm system, though, is still going to be a threat today for parts of Georgia, South Carolina, and for Florida. Here's our current weather map, and boy, it's an active one. Probably one of the busiest weather patterns I've seen in quite a while. All week long, we've been tracking this big winter storm system that was first of all in the southwest. Now, though, it's lifting towards the northeast, heading over towards the Ohio Valley. Kind of a complex, convoluted weather pattern here because we have a series of low pressure areas, but we think the main low will start to be this low forming off the Carolina coast, and then that will eventually start to ride towards the north and the east. At the same time, though, a very powerful, very strong Arctic cold front is blasting across the upper Midwest, driving in another reinforcing surge of very cold air. So with the colder air combining with the energy from our first storm system, more widespread areas of ice and snow. And probably the worst traveling conditions are with the ice. And we've had this big icy glaze forming on the roads this morning around Danville and Lynchburg, Virginia. Now, even back over towards Washington, D.C., we're now seeing some of that snow mixing with some ice. So if you're traveling maybe around the Capitol Beltway or the Shirley Highway, be really cautious this morning as you're heading off to work or school. More freezing rain, too, back through West Virginia, around Elkins and Charleston, back on into Wheeling and Morgantown. And then widespread snows have been breaking out this morning from St. Louis, Chicago, Indianapolis, and in time they will eventually be spreading over towards the northeast, including you folks around Boston and New York City. So prepare for that. Across the southeast, though, we've had another element with this storm system, and that has been the strong to potentially severe thunderstorms. And we still have a tornado watch that encompasses portions of Florida through later this afternoon. So again, we have that big line of heavy, intense showers and thunderstorms bearing down on South Georgia, down towards the Big Bend. We've had some heavier downpours within the hour around Tallahassee, and now some thunderstorms cropping up around Savannah, Georgia. They're quickly sweeping off towards the east. To the north, though, in the colder air, again, we're seeing a potpourri of ice and snow, a wintry mix of ice and snow right now for Pittsburgh and the Allegheny Airport on into Latrobe. Again, that wintry mixture, too, back through Baltimore, Washington, D.C., and the Andrews Air Force Base. So, again, watching out for some really treacherous traveling here. That moisture continues to slide northeast bound. And even though it may look as if it's snowing right now for New York City, that is still simply Virga. But as the atmosphere continues to moisten up, eventually there will be some snow breaking out for New York City, and eventually, too, some snow headed over towards Boston. Now let's check out the weather elsewhere. Here's Bob.
Okay, thanks, Cheryl. Flooding continues to create heartache in Northern California. Snowmelt from mountains is adding to already overflowing rivers. This is in Yuba County, California, where the Feather River continues to threaten nearby homes and farms. Along with dead livestock, there is also the problem of hazardous materials from cracked diesel and propane tanks picked up by the rising floodwaters. What's happening now out west? Well, high pressure is the dominant story there. That means tranquil weather, and it's going to be pretty pleasant. So the flooding of recent weeks still continuing because there was so much water and so much snow melt, but the weather now is pleasant in terms of the sky conditions. But look at this Arctic plunge coming down, bringing snows to the Rockies, the northern Rockies, and this is going to travel toward the southeast. We also see the Midwest, and blizzard warnings are in effect for a large part of the Dakotas, so be mindful of that as you travel today. Here's a look at temperatures in the west. 42 in San Francisco, it's 43 in LA, 46 in San Diego. We have a 33-degree reading in Boise. Seattle checks in at 44, where you see some rain. A disturbance has been tumbling across the Seattle area this morning. There's Chicago and the snowfall all the way up to Milwaukee. You can see the bright white, heavy snow coming down, several inches expected. 4 to 6 inches in Indianapolis as this low moves toward the northeast. The low will move into the Great Lakes where the snow is flying now, pretty much stay there, and then continue to spin and bring in the inclement weather and the very cold air over the next couple of days. Temperatures are going to be dropping. Milwaukee snow, Chicago snow, snow in Northbrook, Illinois, snow in South Chicago. It's really a traveler's nightmare there. I-57 motorists having to take care. You can see I-39 travelers, I-90. If your travel plans, if you must get on I-94, beware that the snowflakes will be flying and continue to fly throughout much of the morning. A quieter weather picture in the southwestern part of Missouri, where 7 inches was left on the ground in Joplin, but snow is still coming down from about the capital, where it's tapered off in Jefferson City, to St. Louis, but moving toward the northeast, by the way. And you can see St. Louis residents seeing the snow slacken off somewhat, although you have several inches on the ground. For example, in Clayton, some 4 to 5 inches has tumbled. This is all sliding toward the northeast. It is 27 in Chicago, plenty cold for snow in St. Louis at 24, 25 in Des Moines. In Kansas City, you're at 27 degrees. The forecast now with Cheryl.
Well, last week it seemed as if winter had taken a little siesta, but that is not the case this week. Winter has come back with both barrels loaded. We're talking about a lot of ice and snow for today. As Bob was mentioning, quite a snowy scenario up around the Great Lakes. Still reporting some moderate snow around the DuPage County Airport just to the west of Chicago. The snow still coming down at a good clip, too, for Wheaton, Illinois. And that pretty much will be the case for the rest of the afternoon. And that band of snow starts to spread northeast bound, heading over towards the Hudson Valley and southern New England. Now, farther to the south, though, we're still seeing temperatures kind of hovering right around the freezing mark. So some of that snow could be interspersed with some sleet and freezing rain around Pittsburgh and Philly on into Newark and back towards Cape May, New Jersey. To the southeast, though, being raked over the coals with some showers and thunderstorms, some could be dumping locally heavy rain. And that system rides off along the northern coast here. We'll start to see some of that snow and ice may be turning over to rain as a little bit milder air flows on in. But the cold air and the brutally cold stuff comes pouring in across the heartland. And we're